There are books, and then there are books. Some are old, some are rare, and some are bound in something far more intimate than leather or cloth. They're bound in human skin. The practice of binding books in human skin has a name. It's called anthropodermic bibliophagy, a term that sounds like it should live only in gothic horror novels, but it very much belongs to real history. And no, this isn't urban legend territory. There are verified cases, with lab tests, and some of these books still sit on shelves at elite universities and rare collections around the world. So why did anyone think this was a good idea? Let's start with the obvious. Access. In the 18th and 19th centuries, doctors, anatomists, and medical students had plenty of contact with cadavers, especially the unclaimed, especially the poor, especially those no one would come looking for, and some of them got creative. Binding a book in skin wasn't seen as disrespectful in every case. Sometimes it was treated like an honor, a memorial, a trophy, or in some cases, just a really dark flex. And here's the thing. It wasn't even necessarily rare in certain academic circles. The Enlightenment era was this weird contradiction of high-minded ideals and deeply questionable ethics. People were debating the soul, the self, and the nature of consciousness, and then casually using real human skin to bind those debates. It's like if Descartes had a copy of "I think, therefore I am" wrapped in the flesh of a guy who couldn't afford a funeral. Totally normal, right? Let's talk about the most infamous example, Des Destinées de l'âme, or Destinies of the Soul. Written in 1879 by French author Arsène Houssaye, the book is a philosophical reflection on the soul. A gentle, poetic text, the kind of thing you'd expect in a leather folio on some aristocrat's shelf. But one copy was different. That copy was gifted to Dr. Ludovic Bouland, a physician and bookbinder with access to cadavers, and he decided that a book about the soul deserved a cover made from something more symbolic. He used the skin of a deceased woman, an unclaimed psychiatric patient. Bouland even included a handwritten note explaining his reasoning, almost like a footnote for the damned. A book about the human soul merits being bound in human skin. That book now belongs to Harvard's Houghton Library, or it did. In 2024, after renewed ethical debate, the university removed the skin cover, issued an apology, and promised to respectfully care for the remains. It took them 90 years. 90. And look, I get it. There's a temptation to treat this like a spooky curiosity, the kind of thing you'd gawk at in a Ripley's museum. But this was someone's actual skin, their literal body turned into a metaphor. So how do we know these books are actually bound in human skin? Turns out science is very good at this. Researchers use a technique called peptide mass fingerprinting. Basically, they scrape a tiny bit of the cover, look at the collagen protein structure, and compare it to known species. Human skin is chemically distinct from cowhide or goat skin, and it leaves a fingerprint that's unmistakable. Thanks to the Anthropodermic Book Project, yes, that's a real thing, we now have a growing catalog of confirmed human skin books. Out of 31 tested volumes, 18 were proven real. The rest? Mostly sheep or cow, probably mislabeled or mythologized over time. That's the fascinating part. How many things from history we just accept without questioning. For decades, libraries had these books with labels that said human skin, and no one tested it. It was like historical clickbait. Say it's skin, and people come running. But when the tests came in, more than a third turned out to be regular animal hide. Just regular creepy, not ultra creepy. Let's take a brief tour of the darker shelves. The Highwayman. In 1837, a criminal named James Allen asked that his confession be bound in his own skin after his death. He wanted it gifted to the man who had stood up to him during a robbery, like a bizarre honor system. That book now lives at the Boston Athenaeum. They call it the Allen Autobiography. Medical textbooks. Some doctors bound anatomy books with skin from their dissected subjects. Others used it to immortalize mentors or colleagues. One medical book was even labeled with a tag that read, "Bound in the skin of the Negro whose case it records." That's not just gruesome. That's erasure. That's the scientific community literally using someone's body to explain their death, and then keeping their skin as the final footnote. It wasn't always about commemoration. Sometimes it was power. sometimes it was cruelty, and sometimes it was just indifference. So why does this hit so hard? It's not just the gross out factor, it's what it represents. Books are symbols of knowledge, civilization, legacy. And skin? That's personal. It's identity. It's us. When you bind one in the other, you create this uncanny sacred object, something that shouldn't exist, a relic of human life reduced to an artifact. And let's not ignore how weirdly intimate this is. Leather feels anonymous. It's tanned. It's processed. It's abstract. But skin? Skin has pores, scars, stretch marks. It's lived in. You're not holding a book. You're holding someone's story, wrapped in someone else's body. It makes us uncomfortable because it confronts us with mortality, with exploitation, and with the blurred line between honor and horror. In March 2024, Harvard removed the human skin from Des Destinées de l'Âme after holding it for over 90 years. They acknowledged what many had long felt, that preserving the book as it was meant, ignoring the dignity of the person behind the material. The apology wasn't just about the book. It was about an era of medicine and academia that treated human bodies like tools, or trophies. And that gets to the core of it. These books weren't made in a vacuum. They were created by people who operated within a system that didn't see every human life as equally valuable, especially not the poor, or the marginalized, or the institutionalized. Other institutions are now reevaluating how they handle similar objects. What was once considered a curiosity is now treated as a question of consent, of humanity, and of memory. Anthropodermic books force us to confront a disturbing intersection of knowledge and control. They were made by people who wanted to immortalize death, or dominate it, or simply bind their ideas with flesh. But today, the conversation has changed. Now we ask, who was this person? Did they have a name, a story? We may never know, but we can decide what kind of memory they leave behind. Books are powerful. They hold our stories, our knowledge, our imagination. But every once in a while, a book holds something more. A piece of someone. A real physical reminder that history isn't just ink and paper. It's skin deep. Respect the past. Question everything. I'll be doing a lot more videos like this. Be sure to leave your suggestions in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.